Welcome to MAP, the bi-weekly market access podcast hosted by me, Dr. Stefan Walzer. I am the innovator of Market Access 4.0 and a health economist by training and working in the fields of market access, reimbursement, pricing, and health economics since 2004. Discover Market Access 4.0 and unveil the future with our innovative solutions. Max Insights, our fast and easy AI-based reimbursement planning platform. Dobo, our new revolutionizing way of creating reimbursement dossiers across the globe with the first and only dossier writing AI bot. Cubo, our new AI-based objection handling platform. And Waffle, train with Waffle's virtual reality genius in an immersive environment and with an AI-based counterpart. We are Market Access 4.0. So check out our website, marketaccess4-0.com. And now let's dive into the current discussions, processes, and trends in market access across the globe. So welcome to another Market Access podcast episode. Today, we're, a bit broader than what we are normally. We're not only, focusing on market access or reimbursement, or even not only in healthcare. Today, we're as well broadening our kind of perspective and going as well into the, future, which is artificial intelligence in the area we're currently working in. And for that, I have as well invited and I'm quite happy to have him as well on board. We have Alexey Zavgorodniy today from Unicsoft, which is an expert, especially in the artificial intelligence area. But before I would, try to describe what you have done as well in the last couple of years, Alexey, maybe you could introduce yourself quite briefly.
Hello, Stefan. Thank you very much for having me here. Yes, my name is Alexey Zavgorodniy. I'm founder of Unicsoft. We are a software engineering consulting company focused on artificial intelligence and large language models, specifically for the healthcare and pharma industry. So you can imagine us as a technology enabler helping businesses in the industry benefit and reap the benefits offered by these new technologies to increase efficiency. And we'll basically explore the use cases during today's podcast. So the potential is really unlimited. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, perfect. No, great to have you. So I think you have already, put a bit of, pressure on both of us, right? Because you just said it's unlimited, right? So maybe let's try to start in a way. Maybe you could give a bit of an overview of how, I think you're totally right. How language models / artificial intelligence platforms maybe are currently being applied, maybe in healthcare market access, but maybe you could also even go a bit broader, let's say in the pharmaceutical or health tech, med tech kind of area as of now.
Okay. So I will start a little bit from broader perspective and explain why I'm saying unlimited. It's not just a marketing word. It's what I see happening right now is the process is similar to the Industrial Revolution, which happened more than a century ago. Basically, shifting the paradigm from what was before, the manufacturers, so the skilled workers actually manufacturing the products and the goods, to skilled factories, where there was a machine actually doing the manufacturing, and the people were basically not serving, but controlling the quality of the goods and working with the machines rather than with the products directly. And that approach was revolutionary in terms of the efficiency and production capability. So large language models actually, and the current advancement of the artificial intelligence actually makes the same possible for knowledge workers. So, and we see in a lot of areas shift of the paradigm from knowledge workers producing some sort of created documents to large language models or some sort of the digital platforms doing that. And a lot of new jobs created around actually working with those platforms. So World Economic Forum 2023 predict that about 23% of jobs, or we're talking about millions, like hundreds of millions of jobs will change, where some of them will be eliminated by the artificial intelligence or completely automated, and some new jobs will be created around prompt engineering and around ethical usage of artificial intelligence and basically around creating the ecosystem and infrastructure for AI to perform the knowledge work and people to control basically even formulating the tasks to be done by AI. Specifically taking this back to pharmaceutical market access industry, we already have some interesting implications. So the current problems, I guess, the industry is between kind of the two pressing forces. Number one is increasing complexity for the drug market access. The time delays between market authorization and availability of new drugs are only growing in majority of the countries. And there is a lot of requirements which are getting more and more complicated. At the same time, there is a growing payer, governments, and public pressure to reduce costs because of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals related to health and making it available because of the inflation. So there is a growing need for increased efficiency in highly complicated knowledge work. And this is actually where artificial intelligence at its current state and generative AI propose has a lot to offer, basically resolving this challenge. The examples we have already out there on the markets, I picked a couple of names because a lot of them, let's say, I found quite an interesting product, Okra AI. So they have created a model to predict the outcome of price negotiations of the new drugs and better understand the value based on wide body of knowledge and the data of previous negotiations, which actually helps a lot to prioritize and mitigate the work of market access companies, as well as prepare the proper case, having much more evidence, or at least gathering the evidence from the similar cases much faster. There is a distillersr.com. This is a literature review with a lot of cases, among of them the possibility to reduce the time required for global value dossier creation. That's another perfect example of human augmentation, where you do what you do, but you do it much faster, enabled by the artificial intelligence. So from my personal experience and the project Unicsoft is currently working on, there are amazing capabilities of Gen AI, a variety of cases, from HR and succession planning, advising, screening the candidates, to semi-automating or increasing efficiency of the drug approval dossier creation based on clinical trials and the wide body of knowledge, as well as automation of clinical reports, electronic health records creation based on unstructured notes, or even voice recordings of the patients to doctor meetings. So I would say everywhere where people currently need to take decisions. So there are key themes in the AI, I would say, application, just to structure this variety of examples. Somehow, I would say there are key themes which are affecting every industry. So AI's capability to automate pretty much mundane routine tasks, including tasks involving communication with clients and doing routine things like setting meetings or answering questions, decision making. So AI can make pretty much every decision done within the organization based on much wider body of knowledge, much more information driven, and therefore much more accurate. AI's ability to predict, so it can reduce, like a large team, it can be used in every area which requires trial and error. AI can reduce the amount of trial and error needed because of its ability to predict the outcomes quite accurately, and AI's ability to personalize. Basically, it's similar to, so it takes into account, first of all, a lot of knowledge about the person, and second, AI can do it with the data privacy in mind, because it's sharing the information with AI can be done confidentially without kind of transferring the ownership of information. So AI here, in terms of the personalization, it removes a lot of barriers, because the machine can process some personal information, and you can make sure that it forgets this information. It doesn't store it anywhere, and unlike the person, you cannot make the person forget, but you can make the artificial intelligence remove the data and therefore removing a lot of data privacy barriers. So I speak a lot, but generally that's, I think, the main key themes AI is bringing to the table.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a very, not brief, but a very good and broad overview already. I think so. We can probably take some of those pieces again a bit further up there, right? I think important is probably what you said, I think a couple of times now, which is more the kind of efficiency gains, right? Which are needed. There are different kind of reasons for that, and I totally agree with you. I think we have not even, let's say, digged into any kind of let's say, pharma development, right? Drug development or anything like that. And that's not even, let's say, touched now. But I think you brought up a quite interesting point as well, which is more the kind of, let's say, AI personalization, especially, let's say, with respect to, let's say, privacy considerations. I mean, you have also, let's say, brought up a couple of, let's say, examples. I think, let's say, outcome prediction out of negotiations. Let's say, if I would not include my own kind of, let's say, data from my new kind of compound, I would be probably quite relaxed if I would be in the pharma industry, right? But if I would, for example, let's say, be in the driving seat and just say, look, I mean, I want to, let's say, probably mimic my kind of, let's say, new product into the kind of current examples in the various markets, I would obviously, let's say, give up some kind of information, which I think is maybe not yet public knowledge as well, right? Even if it's just, let's say, the price, right? It's the same with, let's say, dossier writing or anything like that, right? There are always some kind of, let's say, maybe business crucial, maybe sometimes even confidential information, which should not be shared with the outside world. So maybe we can, let's say, just quickly get again back to what you said, probably more towards the end. I mean, the platform or the model might maybe remove the data or forget the data, something like this. I mean, how could, let's say, a lay person really, let's say, understand that? What is the kind of process behind that? And how could, let's say, companies like Unicsoft, or let's say we have as well a kind of cooperation on a couple of things, how could we basically make sure that, let's say, the bigger companies, the pharma industry, the medtech companies could really believe in that?
That's a good question. Yes, there are a lot of, I would say, fears regarding data privacy in the AI, because it is artificial intelligence and especially large language models. It's very complicated algorithms, and the fear comes out of the fact that they really generate results no one can predict. So developers of large language models cannot predict every answer it gives to every question it's being asked. And that is kind of scary a little bit. But overall, if we are talking about the data privacy, the large language models and the companies who operate them, they are no different from your bank, which has a lot of personal information about you, where you have an account and you come to the KYC and have all your personal information. And the rules and principles of getting it contained, they are absolutely the same. And this is the data security is the industry which exists forever. So the large language models and operating them is no in terms of the data privacy, it's no different from every other industry out there. But generally, it gives much more potential. So imagine it's in the large language model, an agent which processes the information and makes some decisions. So you can, instead of sending private data across the board from one organization, let's take a clinic, to another clinical trial company, you do reverse. You send the agent in forms of large language model and algorithm which runs on premises of the clinic and, let's say, select the patients for the clinical trials, and then provides the report to the clinic, basically helping them. Just people in clinic have no time selecting patients, so basically helping them just with here are the list out of your database of the people who are eligible for clinical trials. All you need to do is to call them and ask if they up for it. So it's much easier, and you can basically create such scenarios without having to move the data across the board from clinics to the clinical trial company, because that's already much more complicated data privacy. And then, the model works. Model analyzes the patient data. The model generates the report, and then it can be erased. And that's it. So it finishes the work, and the data doesn't go anywhere out of the clinic's perimeters. So this is basically all the taking again, if we take it, generalize it to, say, the theme, so to say, the general principle. General principle is you can challenge pretty much every process which requires private personal data processing, where the data has to move across the border of organization from one institution to another. You can challenge that, and with AI, you can make it reverse. You can have the agent moving from one organization to another, an AI agent processing the information on premise of the information holder, making the decisions, creating the reports, and then that's it. And then on the reports and the decisions are taking place. So we can that enables a lot into personalization. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you want to find out which, for example, drug or product is best for each patient individually, we usually do not have that information because that information is stored in the electronic health records and we cannot access it. However, we can send an AI agent to analyze that information, generate suggestions, and share only suggestions with us, not personal information. And that solves the problem without a need to move the information across the borders. So this is basically, it's kind of, it could be called a revolution in the personalization as well, because it allows to do a lot without moving the information across the borders of the organization. I hope I kind of answered that question.
No, absolutely. I think it's an interesting kind of example what you just brought up, especially let's say the kind of clinical trial recruitment and the identification of the potential patients for that. I think that's a very interesting one. I think especially in, let's say, some of the large and big hospitals where not only one clinic trial is being run, but a lot of different ones. So there might be maybe even a bigger kind of program potentially be available, and which is again more like a kind of closed system anyway, because it only, let's say, works for that, let's say, hospital. And once, let's say, a clinical trial is either fully recruited or maybe even, let's say, stopped or whatever, I think those kind of information could again be taken out there, or whenever, for example, a patient might leave again the hospital, just in case. That might be a very, let's say, hospital kind of driven piece. That's a very interesting one. So, I mean, if we, let's say, move a bit further, I mean, you as well just said, look, I mean, some of the, let's say, results of language models can, let's say, sometimes hardly be predicted. Maybe call it like that, especially if you have large volumes of data and information where, let's say, we as humans might really have, let's say, difficulties, at least in a short run, to understand everything. So how could we, let's say, make sure that, let's say, the language model is really giving kind of reliable information out there? So just as an example, I mean, I have been in the past at various bigger conferences, right? And one of the biggest is, let's say, one of the oncology conferences in the US, where I think you have, 30,000 attendees, and I don't know how many tens of thousands of abstracts and presentations. So it's an incredible amount of information at the same time, right? It's newest kind of information at that conference. So, I personally, obviously, as well, went into kind of conferences and just quickly screened what might potentially be interesting for me. And then I attended those kind of, let's say, workshops or presentation or whatever else, right? But obviously, you would then still miss, I guess, at least, 99% of the sessions and of the information. So, if you would have, let's say, such a kind of, let's say, model where you could just say, look, that's all of the information, and you can, for example, get personalized ready your kind of preferred, maybe area in oncology, for example, only colorectal cancer, whatever else. But still the question is, how can I make sure that the information is, let's say, correct, what I then read afterwards or maybe around the same time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that's one of the bigger challenges right now, raising a lot of questions about artificial intelligence, how we can, to make sure we trust an AI same way we trust people. Because humans have built-in mechanisms of building trust with other people. However, we have no guarantee that the person which is out there on the stage, they are correct. We just use our built-in tribal mechanisms to to decide whether we trust or not. So in order to, I would say, artificial intelligence algorithms, they have been rigorously tested. So, and the complexity level of these neural networks are, getting closer to the complexity level of human neural networks biological networks in the brain. So I would say that the question is not whether large language models that generate generative AI is absolutely right. I guess it is the question that both human and Gen AI can make mistakes. And the question is what is the probability and how is it kind of better? So can really generative AI make decision making and kind of such things better on overall? Although, so does that benefit of the Gen AI outweighs the potential harm from the mistake it made? And actually, in order to, it's very interesting to study what the World Health Organization thinks about the artificial intelligence and its applications to the health. I actually read their report and recommendations, which was produced couple of years ago, and I think it's the main document which identified how the World Health Organization treats the AI. So it was actually very interesting reading and very insightful because what has striken me first that the general recommendation about the liability of the artificial intelligence produced results of the World Health Organization is around creating no fault, no liability schemes where, so to say, harmed patients or harmed parties will be compensated by the government, because you cannot blame or put a liability on the company who created the large language model because it's so complex and unpredictable. But you also cannot put the full liability on the operator, let's say doctor who operated it and kind of who was augmented by the AI. And the fact that World Health Organization's recommendation is to create this no fault, no liability scheme reflects the belief of that organization that there will be more good from using the AI than harm. So that the governments, in the end, they will benefit by positive effects of augmenting doctors and pharmaceutical professionals with artificial intelligence assistance rather than harm coming out of those errors. So generally, I would say that, yes, it will take time people to build trust with AI because we don't know how to build trust with a machine. But it will, that's the studies and the general opinion so far, like from the World Health Organization, is actually that we should, and the benefits of trusting the AI will at some point, will immediately or at some point outweigh the potential errors, and mistakes happen. Humans make mistakes and algorithms make mistakes as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's quite interesting because I think when you said in the early talk or the early discussion today, you said as well something like, let's say AI or language models could also make, let's say, decisions, right? We all make decisions, we all make, let's say, mistakes sometimes, and we learn from it. That's the same as well with, let's say, AI in general. But I mean, what I could also imagine is, and interesting to hear your thoughts then as well, what I could also imagine is, for example, if I would be, let's say, working in a healthcare payers organization, and I would get, let's say, for example, a dossier being submitted by the pharmaceutical industry. And even if I would not know if written by AI or by human, I would just, let's say, be quite critical. I would rather nowadays probably try to get another AI, which is, let's say, checking the submitted dossier or documents for inconsistencies/errors, which might also help me in order to get either kind of holes, or let's say holes in general, let's say of the let's say argumentation for maybe a higher price, and or direct kind of mistakes, which I could as well go back to the pharmaceutical industry. Is that something what you could as well foresee? Basically, let's say an AI is checking the other AI, and then finally we could maybe get the kind of correct, let's say, maybe not yet correct, but maybe more kind of probably from content perspective, probably correct kind of information that basically on that basis, either AI could, let's say, recommend a decision, and or humans could just, let's say, make up their mind and could then make a decision. Is that something what you could foresee? So AI versus AI?
Actually, what you're describing is already a well-known technique in machine learning and artificial intelligence to facilitate the training of any kind of models. So basically, this technique is already been applicable, where there are two competitive algorithms. One is pre-trained and trained to find, let's say, a sort of answer or a prediction. And another one is trained to find kind of mistakes or controversies. And basically, they get hooked one to another, and the second one reinforces the learning of the first one. So this is already been a technique to train artificial intelligence and the machine learning models for a while. In the nearest future, I think that kind of the main mechanism of building trust and main recommendations of the regulators, like with EU AI Act and World Health Organization stance regarding the AI, is AI controlled by the human, which doesn't eliminate the internal mechanisms of AI training AI, but generally, the overall theme and recommendations of all of the regulations is the human supervision, especially for the critical functions. And that makes sense. So that's how the people will understand when they can trust AI more. The less people will have to intervene, the better the AI algorithms will go. And also the artificial intelligence can train from people. If a person overrules the decisions of the AI will remember it and make similar decisions in the future. And that's actually how you can teach AI ethics and things which are not so measurable, but a part of the human decision-making process. So I would see that the main mechanism for the next 5 years of, from regulatory perspective, will be a human supervision of the AI algorithms, while, yes, the technique to use AI controlling AI is already there, and it is used as well to speed up the learning training algorithms.
No, I think that was some of the question we also got. Let's say in the last couple of months, especially when we spoke about, let's say, AI in healthcare market access, and I think it's a quite good point, probably also for the listeners, just to hear basically that, let's say, those kind of let's say tools are already used even before, let's say, a product is being, let's say, maybe call it on the market. It's already there, let's say, used in the development of such kind of platforms. We're moving a bit towards the end, and obviously it might be interesting because I know that you're not only working in the healthcare area, you're also working in other areas and other markets. So what are potential future trends would you see in AI, in, let's say, with language models, whatever, which might potentially have as well a bigger kind of impact in the healthcare area? Would you see maybe outside of that world? And what might be the kind of trends where you say maybe in, let's say, 2035, we might see this or that as well in the healthcare area?
All right. So thank you for the good question. I see the same themes, so to say. I've mentioned here. They are affecting more or less every other industry we work in. So potential to automate and bring efficiency in, potential to make decision-making process more efficient, the prediction capabilities, reducing trial and error, and the personalization. So basically the themes are absolutely the same. So we were working on the hyper-personalization projects for retail, where actually the AI agent working on the customer's mobile phone to use the data available on the phone without moving it across the border to suggest the personalized recommendations in the retail industry for the customers. So absolutely the same principles as we just talked about in clinical trials and selected patients. So the decision making, I've been to a six group conference a couple of months ago in Zurich, and they have actually created the internal artificial intelligence trained, so large language models trained to provide the financial data and financial analysis, and put it side by side with their best analysts. So what have taken analysts 1-2 minutes, large model was doing in 13 to 20 seconds. So again, with ability to dig into all the information and lay it out very quickly. It was the large language model was building graphs, making decisions and predictions regarding certain asset trends, prices, etc., etc. So I see the same things in all the industries generally, and basically imagine the future and how the healthcare industry look like in 5 years with augmentation and with the help of AI. I would kind of describe it in five words. It would be personalized for sure. There is already for that, and large language models provides all the tools to make that happen. It would be precise due to improved quality of the decision making. It would be preventive due to artificial intelligence ability to predict. It will be easy due to automation of routine tasks, easy both for the patient and for the payers to work through all the bureaucratic barriers with a lot of automation from the AI side, and it will be efficient. Because efficiency is what drives the markets. The first company who will be able to become significantly more efficient than the competitors, they have the upper hand, and there's no reason for the clients not to go to the more efficient players. So efficiency drives the market, efficiency drives the competition, and I think the efficiency will be driving the adoption of the AI in the next years, because that's what every business is looking for.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that was a good kind of ending with the efficiency in mind. Thank you very much, Alexey. I think it was a pleasure, and I think really insightful. And we're looking forward as well, obviously, to the future. Thank you, Alexey.
Thank you very much. The pleasure was all mine. Have a great day.
And another great episode, this time again back to artificial intelligence and language models. I think the cool kind of question is obviously how these kind of, let's say, platforms will be applied, and especially how fast they might be applied in, as I normally say, a quite conservative market like the healthcare market potentially is. We have a lot of innovations from a product perspective, but I think from a decision making and obviously as well from sharing information, etc., it might be maybe seen more conservative. I think one of the cool things and the cool discussion we had as well in the past was rather privacy considerations. And as Alexey as well alluded to, I think this is something I think the whole industry, the whole kind of, let's say, IT/AI industry has taken care of, especially in Europe, since quite some time. Why AI might be taken off, especially also in the pharmaceutical and or medtech area, I think one of the key arguments I think Alexey brought up there a couple of times now was and is especially efficiency. I think efficiency in getting information, efficiency in collecting and analyzing data, efficiency in then also decision making, independent if that decision making is being done by the AI or by humans. I think what might also be taken out of that discussion I just had with Alexey is that I think at least for given time, and for sure for a couple of areas, and especially in the healthcare area, we still need humans aside AI, but I think AI will drive a lot, and especially in those kind of areas where now we need a lot of time and efforts from a human's perspective. That was an episode of MAP, the Market Access podcast provided by Mars Market Access and Pricing Strategy, which is your healthcare consultancy in the German-speaking markets. MAP is available every second week with a new episode, so watch out. And in case you might have questions, contact me directly and or visit our website on www.marketaccess-pricingstrategy.de.